Hi guys, and welcome to my review of the Nokia Lumia 830. Microsoft calls it a mid-range flagship. If this stands true, we will find out in my full review, but this was also my first experience with Windows Phone, but I won't go into detail about that because I made a pros and cons video. If you want to watch that, just do it. But otherwise, let's start with the review. So, let's damn it. Okay, so here we have it, the Nokia Lumia 830. On the front, it looks very minimalistic, very understated, but very elegant in my opinion. On the back though, things are a bit different. With flashy colors and this big camera, it wants to be seen, it wants to be noticed as a Nokia device. Of course, there are a few more subtle colors available, but still, I think that's more of a personal preference anyways. Let's get around the device and see what else we got. Here we have the camera button, power button and the volume rocker. I would wish for the camera button to be a little bit more resistant, because so many times when I had it like this, I did push slightly against the button. I didn't activate it, but still it made the device feel a little bit more cheap. About the power button, I would wish for it to be up here, because so many times I pressed it, and since at least on my unit it is almost flush, it was very hard to find, but I noticed in a store that those were sticking out way more, so it's not an issue. But still, I would wish for it to be here. About the volume rocker, that one is absolutely fine. Nice feedback and a very nice position, because this one felt very natural. On the top we have the headphone jack and the micro USB. Here we have the front camera, and as we already saw on the back, here we have the main camera and the speakers. The back can be taken off if you want to replace the battery, put your SIM in and an SD card. All this works well. If we take a closer look at the device and the design itself now, I have to say the device feels very compact, a little bit thicker and heavier though than it actually is. Okay, with 150 grams it is a bit more hefty than some other devices in this size range, but I also have to say it feels way more substantial and way more sturdy, I would actually say, because it feels like a tank. This is maybe mostly because of this nice aluminum chassis, because this one is super solid, no bending or anything is possible. Also for the back, it is maybe just polycarbonate, but very well made. It feels absolutely solid, no bending, no creaking, and in the hand, because of so many nicely rounded curves, as you can see here, we have everywhere. There's not a single point on this device where you don't have a nice beveled or rounded curve. And this makes it very natural in the hand, because it snuggles right into it and it feels very nice, and due to the still compact size, it is just nice to have in the hand. So in overall, I have to say, buttons maybe not perfect, but this device, for the price it has, offers so much more, because it feels easily like a $500 or $600 device, even though it's at least here in Germany just $250. We have a 5-inch 720p IPS display, and in terms of sharpness, I'm absolutely pleased with this device, especially because of the way how Windows actually scales fonts and handles them in general. Everything was sharp at all the time, and maybe only occasions where you did notice it wasn't that sharp of a screen was in videos and maybe in a zoomed out view in the browser. As for the maximum brightness, it was quite nice. I've seen brighter devices out there already, and the way how you actually have to adjust the brightness in the settings was a bit cumbersome. Therefore though, the white is absolutely perfect, exactly where I want it to be, not too warm, not too cold. Same goes for the black. With clear black technology, this is pretty much the best thing you can get to an AMOLED display. Very nice, because it never loses any details in darker passages. As for the colors, and this is a really nice thing, a nice little bonus you have here, because you have color profiles available. You have standard, which was a little bit washed out and dull for me, but therefore you have vivid if you want something more like an AMOLED experience. And the great thing is you have also advanced, where we get color temperature, tone and color saturation. So in a whole, this means a really great display, maybe just 720p sharp and not 1080p, but in this price range it is still one of the best ones out there after all. Let's talk about sound now and demo first. As always, here's the microphone, normal listening distance, so let's start off. The first thing I want to mention, as you maybe noticed, placement. It is on the back, and it really depends on how well you hold your hand, because if you have the right grip, the sound is actually quite good. You don't really get a lot of bass, but the mids and highs are okay, maybe slightly on the sharper side, but therefore the maximum volume is very pleasant, but it is about the grip. If you maybe noticed it in free air, the sound isn't really good because it is backfiring and just going away from you, and then everything sounds quite muffled. If you have the right amount of grip and you really know how to hold it well, YouTube videos and so on, everything will sound good. Also very loud. Definitely in the higher range of all the devices I've tested. I've tested a lot of devices with worse sound, but it is pretty much the only factor is how you hold it in your hand. Because in the normal position like this, you won't really block it, but you won't really reflect it well, so it will be kind of halfway there. So if you watch videos, try to have the right grip, and then sound will be actually quite good. Now I want to talk about the performance, but it really depends on what performance means to you. Because if performance for you only means to have a smooth experience, then Windows Phone will be right for you. Because as you can see, everything is extremely buttery smooth, and it is really hard to ever tip it off. As you can see here, super smooth. But if performance means to you to have a snappy device, then I don't know so much, because as you can see here, the only moment where it actually maybe slightly stutters is when you get back to the home screen. But as you can see, fast is something different, because you always have these long and quite annoying transitions that make the device just feel a little bit slower than it actually is. Of course, the rendering times are on high-end flagships a little bit faster, as you can maybe see here, but they are still very respectable. The performance in overall is absolutely nice, everything is smooth, and it also has a lot to do with how Windows actually handles all of this, because the transitions and everything is a Windows thing. I don't know really if a faster SoC would make the rendering any faster, but especially for the scrolling I can't really complain, as you can see here. But the thing is also, you can't really scroll any faster, because this is also limited by the OS. So it is really up for you to decide. Super smooth, then Windows, and this device for sure no problem. But if you want it fast and snappy, then it's a little bit of a Windows thing that this one isn't the best. And also maybe because of the SoC, I would have to check the 930 if actually rendering and so would be faster. But because of using Windows, I didn't ever feel the need like this device was slow or anything else. Next thing in line to talk about would be battery. Charging times first. After 1 hour you're close to 50%, after 2 hours you are close to 75%, and after 3 hours and 10 minutes you are at 100%. Not really the best outcome, especially considering this is only a 2300 milliamp hour battery, but still good enough if you charge it overnight. If you wanted to have fast charge, then this is not the device to go for. Then you have to look elsewhere, maybe on the Android side, but still. Therefore, the really good thing is the standby drain, because there is practically none. Of course, you don't have syncing options like Google Plus and so on, so there won't just sync as much. You only have maybe like your email and Twitter, but still, the standby drain is exceptional well. Usage itself, it is really hard for me to tell, because there is no app that could actually tell me how long I was using the device, but I got quite easily through a day, and I would say about 4 to maybe 4.5 hours of actual use over a whole day are realistic. Once again, I can't say it for sure, but I didn't really get into any trouble getting through one day. If with moderate to easy use, maybe even 2 days, but I wouldn't count on it. Finally, time to talk about the elephant in the room, and that would be Windows Phone, the operating system and the software itself. Because if you are coming from iOS or Android and heavily rely on Google services, it will be quite hard. You can easily replace YouTube with things like MyTube, and you can use Gmail with the email app, that is no problem. But if you are a heavy Google Plus user, it will be hard, because you won't get any notifications, and actually using it within the browser isn't impossible, but it is also not the most satisfying way. If you want things like G Drive and so on though to work, then it will be really hard, because I didn't really find any nicely working alternatives anyways. As for the system itself though, if we check the settings, this is quite a bunch of... This is a mess in my opinion, because as you look at it, all the system settings are completely non-logically placed, because as you see here, we have battery saver here, but we have brightness here, and down there below we somewhere have display and glance screen. All of this has changed to the better in Windows Phone 10, and I did check it a little bit on the preview, so things were better there. The keyboard was also better there. But in the end, if you already know Windows Phone, this is no issue for you. And if you know and like Windows Phone, it will pretty much the same experience on every device. Maybe if you come from a non-Lumia device, you don't get things like the Lumia camera, but still with Windows Phone 10, and since Microsoft took over, you will get this eventually on pretty much every device anyways. But the thing is, if you come from Android, if you come from iOS and you like the customizability, here this will be quite a difference. Because I feel the system definitely is way more limited. It was way harder to access my hard drive. It was way harder to get even the easiest things to get done. So if you know Windows Phone and you like it, it won't be an issue. But if you are coming from something else, maybe you can also check my pros and cons video. I'm still not sure what to think of Windows Phone. It is definitely a nice experience, and the inbuilt apps are really nicely done, really elegant and awesome designed, and the OS itself works really nice. But there are just some things I still can't get used to and can't get over it. So yeah, keep that in mind. Usually I don't talk about it a lot, but I think in this case it's pretty much impossible to avoid it. I'm talking about the camera. I'm no expert myself, maybe amateur at best, but from what I can tell you, the 10 megapixel shooter does exceptionally well. Not just in this price range, but in general. I was able to produce really great photos, a lot of sharpness in there, a lot of detail in there. The colors were all really nicely balanced, not oversaturated or anything. So from what I can tell you, the pictures look very nice, and I was completely pleased. Not on a Note 4 level, but I would say definitely on a high-end level after all. And you have to remember, this is a mid-ranger, and it will be pretty much impossible to find something in this price range that can even match this even closely. No way at all. The good thing also is the software. You have a lot of manual options if you want to, but even just in auto mode, it worked very nice for me. And the same goes for the camera qualities if you want to do videos. Videos were very smooth, very detailed. The zoom needed a little bit of time, same as for pictures, because the shutter times aren't the fastest one. So if you have the time and you have the expertise to do great shots and videos, this camera will suit you very well. Yes, recap time once again for everyone who didn't watch the detailed part, and I will try to make it quick. Design and build quality as a whole package, I feel, is almost a steal, because it feels almost wrong that you get such a high quality device for that price. So yeah, wow. As for the display, 720p, but therefore a really good one, and I have no issues with it all. It was sharp, it was vibrant, it was vivid. We had those nice profiles. Awesome. Sound, not that good. It can't compete with all the other qualities, because we have a backfiring one, a good one, but the position still in the end is the worst thing, and you have to always adjust your grip to have a good experience, but then you get a good experience. Performance, once again, not the fastest device, but therefore a super smooth device. So you have to decide for yourself. If you need the fastest device out there with a lot of multitasking capabilities and so on, this won't be the one. But if you just want a smooth and really pleasant experience, then you will easily get this with this device. Same as for the battery life. I had no problems getting through a whole day, no issues at all. And I can't tell you really anything else, because if it gets me through a day without thinking twice, then I'm completely satisfied with it. Same goes for the camera, not just satisfied, but extremely satisfied. For just 250 euros, okay, I don't know the prices where you are, but this camera, wow, I have to say the quality is exceptionally well. Because when I did my photos for my last reviews and so on, I didn't use my Sony Xperia and I didn't use my camcorder. I actually used this, and I was able to get some great shots out of it. So if you want a budget phone, a mid-range phone with an exceptionally well camera, I think this is pretty much the only choice you have. As for the software though, this is a different thing. If you are used to Windows Phone and if you like Windows Phone, then this is a great mid-ranger. If you want high-end, go for something like the maybe 1520 or the 930. But if you want to stay in the mid-range price and get overall more than just average qualities, because this is way above average for the price, I have to say. But in the end, it is still Windows Phone. If you like Android or iOS, I'm not so sure if this will actually please you. But if it's just for the hardware and you know the software and you like it, then this device does really nothing wrong. Final words before I'm going to end this review. For a few people out there, this review could maybe sound too positive, but I can tell you one thing. The device itself in terms of hardware is outstandingly well done, and you could easily charge $500 or $600, maybe not for the specs, but just for the amazing feel in hand and the quality, and the camera itself would be enough to justify it. But the thing is the software. I'm a heavy Google service user, so I need my Google services, I need my Google Plus notifications, and I need G Drive and so on. And this is a bit of an issue here. But this makes it even easier to recommend this device if you like Windows Phone and if you want an easier device and maybe don't need Google services. Then this is an amazing deal because you pay like 250 at least here euros in Germany, but get so much quality and such a high quality device in overall that is, I don't know, almost impossible to beat. I think it's pretty much still up for the software though. This was my review of the Nokia Lumia 830. If you liked it, please comment, rate and subscribe. You can also always support me on Patreon. And if you have any other questions, just leave them in the comments. Until next time, bye. I'll be back.